My wife's best friend demanded I share myself with her. When I told my wife, she said, "It's only fair." The text message appeared on my phone at 11:43 p.m. on a Tuesday. I was in my home office finishing up a client presentation for Thursday when the notification lit up my screen. "Jenna, we need to talk about us. Alone. Tomorrow at 2 p.m. The Riverside Cafe." I stared at the message. Confused. Jenna was my wife Claire's best friend since college, practically family. We'd spent countless holidays together, celebrated birthdays, survived her messy divorce 3 years ago. There was no us to talk about. Me. Is everything okay? Does Claire know? Jenna, Claire doesn't need to know everything. Some things are just between you and me now. Don't tell her. 2 p.m. My stomach tightened. Something felt wrong, but I couldn't put my finger on it. I glanced toward the bedroom where Claire was already asleep, her breathing soft and steady through the baby monitor we still kept from when we were trying to conceive. That effort had ended 8 months ago when the doctors confirmed what we'd suspected. It wasn't going to happen naturally. The next day, I arrived at Riverside Cafe at 1:55 p.m. Jenna was already there, seated at a corner booth, wearing a dress that seemed too formal for a Wednesday afternoon coffee. Her makeup was heavier than usual, her posture deliberately relaxed. "Michael," she smiled, gesturing to the seat across from her. "I'm glad you came." "Jenna, what's going on?" "Your text seemed urgent." She leaned forward, her fingers tracing the rim of her latte cup. "I've been thinking about this for months. About us. About what we could be." My blood ran cold. "What are you talking about? Don't pretend you haven't noticed the connection between us," she said, her voice dropping to something she probably thought was seductive. "The way we laugh at the same jokes. How comfortable we are together. Claire's always been a bit cold, hasn't she? Focused on her career. I see how she neglects you." I stood up so abruptly my chair scraped against the floor. "Jenna, I don't know what you think is happening here, but you're completely mistaken. I love my wife." Her expression shifted, not embarrassed but annoyed, like I'd missed an obvious cue. "Michael, sit down. You're making a scene." She waited until I reluctantly sat back down, then continued in a hushed tone. "I'm not asking you to leave Claire. I'm just asking you to share yourself. We can be discreet. Claire doesn't have to know." "Share myself?" I repeated, my voice hollow. "Are you hearing yourself right now? Look, I know it sounds unconventional, but think about it. I can give you things Claire can't. Attention. Affection. Spontaneity." She reached across the table trying to touch my hand. I pulled away. "We've been dancing around this for years. It's time to be honest about what we both want." "I want to leave," I said flatly. "This conversation is over." "Michael, we're done here." I drove home in a daze, my hands gripping the steering wheel so tight my knuckles turned white. What the hell had just happened? Had Jenna actually propositioned me? Had she genuinely convinced herself there was something between us? When I got home at 3:47 p.m., Claire was in the kitchen chopping vegetables for dinner. She looked up and smiled, that warm, genuine smile that had made me fall in love with her 13 years ago. "Hey, honey, how was your day?" I set my keys down on the counter, my heart hammering. "I need to tell you something. Something really uncomfortable." She put down the knife, concern flooding her features. "What's wrong?" I explained everything. The text. The meeting. Jenna's proposition. The suggestion that I share myself between them. Every uncomfortable detail. Claire listened in silence, her expression unreadable. When I finished, she was quiet for a long moment, staring at the half-chopped bell pepper on the cutting board. "Claire, say something. Please." She looked up at me, and what I saw in her eyes made my stomach drop. Not anger, not shock, something else, something calculated. "You know what, Michael?" she said slowly. "Maybe Jenna has a point. I felt like I'd been punched." "What?" "I mean, it's only fair, isn't it? Claire continued, her voice eerily calm. You've been so understanding about my long work hours. Maybe having someone else to keep you company wouldn't be the worst thing. Claire, what the fuck are you talking about? She shrugged, turning back to her vegetables. I'm saying maybe we should consider an open arrangement. If you want to spend time with Jenna, I won't stop you. I don't want to spend time with Jenna. My voice was rising now. I just told you she tried to seduce me and you're acting like it's a reasonable dinner plan. Don't be dramatic, Michael. Dramatic? Your best friend just propositioned your husband and you're acting like I asked if we could get a dog. Claire's phone buzzed on the counter. She glanced at it, and something flickered across her face. Was that a smile? She quickly turned the screen away. Who's that? I asked. Just work. But it was 4:15 p.m. on a Wednesday. Claire was a marketing director, and she always complained about how her boss never contacted her after 3 p.m. My mind started racing, connecting dots I didn't want to see. Claire, look at me. She reluctantly met my eyes. Is there something you're not telling me? Don't be paranoid. I'm not being paranoid. Your best friend just told me she wants to fuck me, and instead of being upset, you're suggesting we open our marriage. What am I missing here? She sighed, setting down her knife with deliberate care. Fine. You want honesty? I've been seeing someone. The room tilted. You've been what? For about 6 months. His name is Derek. He's one of the consultants at work. She said it so casually, like she was telling me about a new coffee shop. I was going to tell you eventually, but the timing never seemed right. And when Jenna mentioned she had feelings for you, we thought, why not make it work for everyone? My hands didn't tremble. My voice didn't crack. Something cold and crystalline formed in my chest, sharp and clear. We? I repeated. You and Jenna discussed this? She came to me last week, said she'd been attracted to you for a while. I told her about Derek, and we figured if we were both exploring connections with other people, everyone could be happy. Happy, I echoed. Michael, relationships evolve. We're not kids anymore. Maybe it's time we acknowledge that monogamy is an outdated construct. How long have you been planning this? She blinked. What? How long have you and Jenna been planning to, what? Gaslight me into accepting this? Gaslight is a strong word. Answer the question, Claire. She crossed her arms. A few weeks. We wanted to approach it thoughtfully. Thoughtfully. I laughed, and it sounded wrong even to my own ears. You've been fucking someone behind my back for 6 months, coordinated with your best friend to proposition me, and you think you approached this thoughtfully? You're being close-minded. I'm being close-minded. Another laugh. Okay. I need some air. I grabbed my keys and walked out, ignoring Claire's protests. I drove without direction, my mind a hurricane of thoughts. 6 months. She'd been cheating for 6 months, and somehow I'd missed it. Or had I? Late meetings. Weekend work trips. Her phone always face down. What a fool I'd been. I ended up at my brother's house 40 minutes later. David took one look at my face and ushered me inside without questions. His wife Emma made tea while I sat at their kitchen table and told them everything. Holy shit, David breathed when I finished. Michael, I'm so sorry. They planned it, I said numbly. They actually coordinated this together. Emma's jaw was clenched. That's not just cheating. That's manipulation. Psychological abuse. They tried to make you think you were the problem for not wanting to share your wife with her affair partner. What do I do? I looked up at them, feeling lost. I don't even know where to start. David exchanged a glance with Emma. First, you document everything. Text messages, timeline, everything. Then you call a lawyer. I can't afford a divorce right now. The business is finally turning a profit, but we're still building capital. Michael. David's voice was firm. Your freelance graphic design work isn't finally turning a profit. Stop downplaying it. You made $340,000 last year. Claire makes $95,000. You've been the primary earner for 3 years, and you've been so humble about it that I don't think even Claire realizes how successful you've become. I stared at him. How do you know my numbers? Because you told me at Christmas, and I actually listened. You designed the entire brand identity for 3 major tech startups. You have clients in 6 countries. You're not some struggling freelancer, Mike. You're a successful business owner who keeps acting like he's lucky to have work. Emma nodded. David's right. And legally, if Claire's been having an affair, that matters. Oregon's a no-fault state, but infidelity can affect spousal support decisions. She doesn't get to cheat on you and then take half your earnings. Something clicked in my mind. The fog started to clear. I need to think, I said slowly. I need time to process this. David squeezed my shoulder. Stay here tonight. We have a guest room. Don't go back there until you have a plan. That night, lying in my brother's guest bed, I opened my laptop. I started documenting everything with the same meticulous attention I gave client projects. Times, dates, screenshots of text messages. Claire's work trips cross-referenced with her credit card statements. We had a joint account I'd set up 2 years ago for household expenses. She'd been using it to pay for hotel rooms. The Riverside Inn, Seattle, February 14th, $347. The Riverside Inn, Seattle, March 3rd, $347. The Riverside Inn, Seattle, March 29th, $347. Same hotel, same price point. Every 3 weeks for 6 months. I called the hotel the next morning using my most professional voice. Hi, this is Michael Chen. My wife Claire Chen has been staying with you regularly. I'm trying to surprise her with an upgrade for her next visit. Could you tell me which room she usually books? The front desk clerk was cheerful. Oh yes, Miss Chen. She always requests room 214. King bed, city view. Would you like to book it again for her? Actually, I'd like to book room 216 instead, for this Saturday night. And I'd appreciate discretion. It's a surprise anniversary gift, of course, sir. Congratulations on your anniversary. Saturday afternoon, I told Claire I needed to drive to Portland for an emergency client meeting. She barely looked up from her phone. Okay. Have a safe trip. Thanks. I'll probably stay overnight. You know how these tech bros are, they want to wine and dine. Sure, honey. I drove to the Riverside Inn and checked into room 216. Then I waited. At 7:34 p.m., I heard voices in the hallway. Claire's laugh, bright and carefree in a way I hadn't heard in months. A man's lower voice, saying something I couldn't make out. The click of room 214's door opening and closing. I didn't cry. I didn't scream. I simply waited. At 8:15 p.m., I knocked on room 214's door. Claire answered, wrapped in a hotel robe, her hair damp. When she saw me, the color drained from her face. Michael. Hi, honey. I kept my voice level. Funny running into you here. I thought you said you were having dinner with your sister tonight. A man appeared behind her. Tall, athletic, probably mid-30s. Derek, presumably. Who's this? He asked, confused. I'm her husband, I said pleasantly. You must be Derek. Claire's told me so much about you. Actually, wait. No, she didn't. She told me she was having dinner with her sister. Derek's face went through several emotions in rapid succession. Husband? Claire, you said you were separated. We're not separated, I confirmed. Happily married for 13 years. Or at least, I thought we were happy. Claire found her voice. Michael, let me explain. Explain that you lied to me? Or explain that you lied to him? I looked at Derek. Did she tell you about Jenna's proposition? How they tried to convince me that an open marriage was only fair because she'd already been fucking you behind my back? Derek stepped back, looking between us. Claire, what the fuck? It's complicated, she started. It's really not, I interrupted. You wanted to have your affair and keep your marriage benefits. Income. Health insurance. The house you live in that I bought before we got married. When I didn't immediately accept sharing my wife with her affair partner, you panicked. You're twisting everything. Am I? I pulled out my phone, opening the Notes app where I documented everything. February 14th. Valentine's Day. You told me you had a work emergency. You were here with Derek. March 3rd, you said your mom was sick. You were here. March 29th, April 19th, May 14th. Should I keep going? Derek was backing toward his clothes, grabbing his pants. I didn't know, man. I swear I didn't know she was married. She said she lived with a roommate who was on the lease and it was complicated. A roommate, I repeated. That's creative. He was dressed in under a minute, not even bothering with his shoes. I'm out. Claire, lose my number. Derek. Wait. But he was gone, door slamming behind him. Claire and I stood in the hallway, the moment stretching between us like broken glass. Michael, she whispered. I made a mistake. It didn't mean anything. Don't. My voice was cold. Don't insult me by pretending this was meaningless. You coordinated with Jenna. You planned this for weeks. You looked me in the eye and suggested I sleep with your best friend because it was only fair. I panicked. I thought if we both had freedom, I didn't want freedom. I wanted my wife. Her eyes filled with tears. Can we fix this? I thought about it. Really thought about it. About the Claire I'd married 13 years ago who'd promised to build a life with me. About the woman standing in front of me now, who'd systematically deceived me while trying to manipulate me into accepting her betrayal. No, I said finally, we can't. I'll be staying at my brother's. I've already contacted a divorce attorney. You'll get the papers next week. You can't do this. I can, and I am. The house is in my name alone. I bought it before we married. You have 30 days to find somewhere else to live? That's not legal. Actually, it is. I consulted with 3 attorneys yesterday. Oregon law is very clear about property owned before marriage. You're welcome to fight me, but you might want to consider that your affair partner probably won't make a sympathetic witness. I turned to leave, then paused. Oh, and Claire? I'd start looking for a new job. I know Derek's a consultant at your firm. I'm guessing your boss wouldn't be thrilled to learn you've been having an affair with a contractor. Creates all sorts of liability issues. I didn't wait for her response. The next morning, I called Jenna. Michael. She sounded eager. I knew you'd come around. Have you thought about what I said? I have. Can you meet me for coffee? Same place as before? Of course. Give me an hour this time. I arrived early and chose a table in the center of the cafe, maximum visibility. When Jenna arrived, she looked pleased with herself, sliding into the chair across from me with a confident smile. So, she purred. You've reconsidered. In a way. I pulled out my phone, opening the recording app. I wanted to ask you some questions. First, how long have you known about Claire's affair? Her smile faltered slightly. I don't know what. Don't lie to me, Jenna. I already know everything. I just want to hear you say it. She studied my face, trying to gauge if I was bluffing. Whatever she saw there made her shoulders slump. Since February. She confided in me after the first time with Derek. And when did you decide to proposition me? Claire suggested it 3 weeks ago. She said she felt guilty, that if you had someone too, it would balance things out, so you volunteered to be my someone? Jenna shrugged. Why not? You're attractive, successful, attentive. Claire doesn't appreciate what she has. I thought we could both get something we needed. And what exactly did you need, Jenna? She leaned forward. I've been alone since my divorce. You know how hard it's been. I see you and Claire together and I think, why can't I have that? Why does she get everything while I get nothing? So this was about jealousy. No, it was about recognizing chemistry. It was about sabotaging your best friend's marriage because you resented her happiness. I said it flatly, watching the truth land on her face. You didn't want me, Jenna. You wanted what she had. And when she handed me to you on a silver platter, you jumped at the chance to destroy us both. That's not. I stood up. Yes, it is. And you know what the saddest part is? You succeeded. My marriage is over. Claire showed me exactly who she is, and I can't unsee it. So congratulations. You helped destroy a 13-year relationship. Jenna's face went pale. Michael, I didn't mean. Yes, you did. You absolutely meant to. You just didn't think there would be consequences. I picked up my phone. I recorded this entire conversation, by the way. Oregon's a one-party consent state. If Claire tries to claim I'm lying about any of this, I have documentation. You're recording me? Her voice went shrill. You can't do that. I just did. Enjoy your coffee, Jenna. The divorce papers were served 10 days later. Claire called me 17 times that day. I didn't answer. On the 18th call, I picked up. "What do you want, Claire?" "Michael, please. Can we talk about this?" "Really talk?" "What's left to discuss?" "Everything. Our history. Our life together. This doesn't have to end." I was sitting in my brother's living room watching Emma play with their 2-year-old daughter. Family. Trust. The things I thought I had. "Do you love him?" I asked. "Derek." She was quiet for a long time. "I don't know. Maybe. It's complicated. It's really not. You either love someone or you don't. Do you still love me?" Her voice was small, vulnerable in a way I hadn't heard in months. I thought about lying. About making it easier for both of us. But I built my whole business on authenticity, delivering exactly what clients needed, not what they thought they wanted. "I love who you used to be," I said finally. "I don't know who you are now. I'm still me." "No, you're not." The Claire I married wouldn't have done this. She wouldn't have cheated. She wouldn't have tried to manipulate me into accepting her affair. She wouldn't have conspired with her best friend to gaslight me. I paused. I'm mourning the woman I married. "But she's gone. You replaced her with someone I don't recognize." She was crying now. "I'm sorry." "Michael, I'm so sorry. I know you are. I'm sorry too." I hung up. The divorce took 3 months to finalize. Claire's attorney tried to argue for spousal support, claiming she'd sacrificed career opportunities to support my business. My attorney countered with detailed records showing I'd been the primary earner for years, documentation of her affair, and hotel receipts she'd charged to our joint credit card. The judge wasn't impressed with Claire's arguments. In the end, she got nothing except her personal belongings and her car. The house was mine, purchased before marriage, entirely in my name. My business was mine, built before and during the marriage, but as a sole proprietorship with no financial contribution from her. She'd have to find her own health insurance. Derek had quit his consulting contract at Claire's firm 2 days after our encounter at the hotel. Claire later told David, who told me that Derek had been engaged. His fiancée had seen my confrontation on his face when he came home, and he'd confessed everything. Another casualty of Claire and Jenna's scheme. Jenna, for her part, disappeared from our social circle. Mutual friends who learned what happened cut her off completely. Last I heard, she'd moved to Phoenix to start over. 6 months after the divorce finalized, I was standing in my home office, the same room where I'd received Jenna's text that started everything. But now it was different. The space felt lighter. The walls were a calming blue-gray instead of the beige Claire had insisted on. My equipment had been upgraded, new monitors, better lighting for client video calls. My business had doubled its revenue. Turns out, when you're not constantly managing someone else's emotional manipulation, you have a lot more creative energy. I'd hired 2 contractors to help with overflow work. We'd just signed a contract with a major streaming platform to redesign their mobile interface, a $180,000 project that would take me through the next year. I'd also started seeing a therapist, not because I was broken, but because I wanted to understand how I'd missed the signs, how I'd been so busy being humble and accommodating that I'd let someone take advantage of my trust. "You're a people pleaser," Dr. Morrison had explained during one session. "You derive value from being useful, being understanding." Claire exploited that. She knew you'd blame yourself before you'd blame her. But I should have seen it. Maybe. Or maybe you loved your wife and trusted her not to hurt you. That's not a character flaw, Michael. That's what marriage is supposed to be. I heard from David that Claire had moved in with her sister in Beaverton. She'd been demoted at work after the affair with Derek became office gossip. Her new salary was $67,000, a $28,000 pay cut. She'd had to sell her car to pay for the lawyer fees. I didn't feel good about her struggles. I didn't feel anything, really. She'd become a stranger to me, someone I used to know in another lifetime. On a crisp October evening, My phone buzzed with a text from an unknown number. Unknown. Hey, this is Rachel. We met at the tech conference last month? Your brother gave me your number. He said you might be interested in grabbing coffee sometime? I stared at the message for a long moment. Rachel. I remembered her tall, bright smile, worked in UX design. We'd had a fascinating conversation about the evolution of mobile interfaces. She'd been wearing a Wonder Woman t-shirt and made me laugh with her spot-on impression of terrible client feedback. My first instinct was to say no, to protect myself, to stay in the safe, controlled space I'd built. But then I thought about what Dr. Morrison had said. Healing isn't about never trusting again. It's about learning to trust wisely, to set boundaries, to recognize red flags, but also to stay open to possibility. I typed back, me. Hi, Rachel. I remember you. Coffee sounds great. How's Friday afternoon? Rachel. Perfect. There's this amazing place on Division Street. The Broken Compass? 2 p.m.? Me, see you there. I set my phone down and looked around my office. At the successful business I'd built. At the life I was reconstructing on my own terms. At the person I was becoming. Not bitter, not broken, but wiser, stronger, more aware of my own worth. The thing about betrayal is that it teaches you what you're made of. Claire and Jenna had tried to make me doubt myself, to accept less than I deserved, to believe that I was lucky to have whatever scraps of attention they deigned to give me. They'd failed. I wasn't the same man who'd received that text message at 11:43 p.m. on a Tuesday night. That Michael had been accommodating to a fault, humble to the point of self-erasure, so focused on being understanding that he'd lost sight of his own value. This Michael knew better. I walked to the window, watching the sunset paint the sky in shades of orange and gold. Tomorrow, I had a client presentation. Next week, I'd finalize the streaming platform designs. Friday afternoon, I'd have coffee with someone new. No expectations, no pressure, just possibility. And somewhere across town, Claire was living with the consequences of her choices, not because I'd destroyed her, but because she'd destroyed herself. That wasn't my burden to carry anymore. I picked up my phone one more time, scrolling to the last conversation with Claire from months ago. My thumb hovered over the delete button. Then I pressed it. The conversation disappeared. The history erased. A blank slate. I smiled. It was time to write a new story. Update, hated at user request. People have asked if I ever heard from Claire or Jenna again. The answer is yes. Once. About 8 months after the divorce, Claire emailed my business account, the only contact information she had. The subject line was, I understand now. Against my better judgment, I opened it. Michael, I know I have no right to contact you. I know you've moved on and built a life without me. I'm not asking for forgiveness or a second chance. I just need you to know that I understand what I did. I destroyed something beautiful because I was bored, because I felt unappreciated at work, and instead of communicating with you, I sought validation from someone who didn't matter. Derek was exciting because he was forbidden. Jenna enabled me because misery loves company. But none of that excuses what I did. I lied to you. I manipulated you. I tried to make you feel crazy for expecting basic fidelity and respect. You deserved better. You deserved honesty. You deserved a partner who valued what we built together. I hope you've found happiness. I hope someone is loving you the way I should have. I hope you've forgiven me, even though I don't deserve it. I'm sorry for all of it. C. I read it twice. Then I archived it without responding. She was right about one thing: she didn't deserve forgiveness. Not yet. Maybe not ever. But I'd stopped carrying anger. That was freedom enough. As for Rachel, we've been dating for 4 months now. She knows the whole story I told her on our third date, wanting to be upfront about my baggage. She listened, asked thoughtful questions, and then said something that made me realize she was different. It sounds like you loved with your whole heart, and someone took advantage of that. That's on her, not you. Don't let her betrayal make you smaller. I didn't let it make me smaller. I let it make me wiser. And that, I think, is the best revenge of all.